Brock Purdy, year 3, full off
Yeah.
season. Throws a lot of picks in training camp. Hasn't seemed to matter yet. Has had a terrific freaking career so far. Only 21 starts deep, though. What do you expect for Brock this year?
So assuming that Trent Williams is on the team, because I'm going to make all these assumptions with Trent Williams is on the team. Otherwise, it would definitely change my prediction. But assuming he is, I expect Brock Purdy's mentality to be more aggressive. I expect him to be more confident, a better understanding of the offense, complete control. So therefore, I think he's going to be more aggressive, which is going to lead to more yards, more touchdowns, more interceptions, and a slightly less a drop in completion percentage. So I actually do this before every season. This year, my prediction for Brock Purdy is 4,490 yards, 250 more yards than last season, 3 more touchdowns, 34, and 3 more interceptions with 14 instead of 11. I have his completion percentage again dropping 1.5% to 67.9, just because he's going to be more aggressive. He's going to throw a little bit more picks. We saw a little bit of the preseason. He's just kind of letting it sling a little bit. So I think Brock Purdy is going to be overall a better quarterback, more confident, more comfortable in the offense. But as a result, more yards, more touchdowns, but also more interceptions. That's my prediction for Brock Purdy this season, assuming Trent Williams is here.
Yeah, I feel like his efficiency is going to come back to earth a little bit. And the evidence I have is like last year he would routinely have games like against, I mean, I'm looking here. I mean, he had games where his quarterback rating was 134, 144, 148, 158.3. He was 21 of 25 against Tampa. I mean, he was just unreal for a while. And then Baltimore happened, where a good defense with a good game plan that was very Brock Purdy specific, you know, a defensive coordinator who'd really looked at Brock for maybe 20 games, and it was bad. And then since that one game, he hasn't really had like a super dominant game. He did well against Washington, who stunk. But then in the playoffs, his quarterback rating was 86, 89, 89. And the year before, his quarterback rating in the playoff was 131 against Seattle, and then 87 and 90. I feel like as he gets a little bit more exposed to the league, you know, everyone gets exposed to the league, and the scouting report gets better on him. I think he's going to regress statistically. We're going to see the interceptions go up and his quarterback rating come down from like 111 to more like in the 90s. Which is, there's no shame in that. That's my prediction. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think we've seen it a little bit against teams that don't even necessarily have great defenses, but just defenses that are dialed into what he's doing and have good game plans.
And well, I mean, to your point, that coordinator for the Ravens is going to be, he's the head coach for the Seahawks now. So Brock's going to have to face that the defense twice a year within the division. So that part is different. What about touchdowns and yards? Do you think that improves? Goes higher?
I can see pass attempts going up. Christian McCaffrey, they want to preserve him. And Brock, they need to sort of get a little bit more evidence before they make an offer. How much exactly should they offer him? Well, instead of being 32nd in pass attempts, let's get a little preview of what life could look like when he's the driving force of the offense. I think we may see a little bit more of that. So, yeah, more everything. More passing attempts, more yards, more touchdowns, more picks, more responsibility, more scrutiny, all of it. Because now people really realize, like, it's not just, hey, you're a great story and you've exceeded expectations and you're the underdog. It's like, nah, you're about to be the highest paid player in the league if you replicate what you've been doing. So high stakes. And once he gets paid, people are going to really, really over. I mean, Jared Goff, Tua, those guys just got paid. Jordan Love off of Trevor Lawrence, those guys are all going to get a ton of scrutiny that Brock's about to get.
So let's say Brock does exactly what we're talking about: more yards, more touchdowns, more interceptions, smaller completion percentage. Let's say he does all that. What does that mean for his contract situation next year, and how do the 49ers approach it? Is it a last-minute type thing again?
I mean, like me, I don't think he's worth $55-60 million a year. I think he's a very good quarterback, but I don't think the Dolphins were smart for extending Tua. And I don't think the Niners would necessarily be smart for giving Brock what they would have to give him. So same way I felt about Ayuk. Like, if they lowball Brock next year and offer him just $45 million a year, I'm with it. But what's going to happen is Brock will hold out for what he can get, and the Niners will pretend like they're not going to give it to him, and then they will. So That's my prediction. Like they're going to end up paying Brock what he's worth on the open market, even though it's not necessarily the best idea.
I mean, look how they handled Jimmy, right? There was no holdout. For one, you can't have a quarterback holding out like that. You can't do that.
Well, Jimmy was going to be an unrestricted free agent. They would have had to franchise tag him.
Right. Yeah. But they jumped on it, made him the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, as opposed to franchise tagging him, which they probably should have done. Right. So
definitely should have done.
Definitely should have done. Right. Or just waited for
not trade for him, or just draft Patrick Mahomes.
Right. Get Kirk Cousins. Yes, that would have been the draft.
That would have been the move. He's pretty good.
He's not bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like with Brock is going to be different. I feel like if he looks like he had last year, even close, I think they jump on it early and lock him in. I think that.
Why not? What a great opportunity and time to like change your strategy for negotiating with players and just because I mean, he's not going to be the only quarterback who's eligible for an extension next year. And if they wait and he's the last guy who gets the extension, he'll be the guy who gets the most money.
If there's one position you don't want to wait on is quarterback, because that it's an insane market, like how much they're getting paid. Guys are going to be getting 65. There's going to be a dude get 70 million this coming season. There really is.
I don't know. Maybe it doesn't really matter because like they're all in. And I was kind of, we used to talk years ago, like, man, they're all in. Who cares about the future? Like, man, if they give Brock all that money after giving Brandon all that money, like this team is going to be in a bad spot in like 3 or 4 years. But I don't think anyone cares.
Yeah. Well, Kyle probably knows 3 or 4 years. If I don't win a Super Bowl, I could be gone.
Yeah. Who cares? Yeah, just go all in now. I'm in year 8 with no Super Bowl. The owners could be getting a little antsy. You don't know. So mortgage the future. It's their future. It's not necessarily my future.
Let me ask you a question. We talk about how Kyle's pretty much concrete in this organization. He's not going to go anywhere. We talk about that often, but a scenario popped in my head last night because I was thinking about Super Bowl contenders, right? Only one time before has 2 teams met in the Super Bowl from the previous year. If the Niners meet the Chiefs in the Super Bowl this year and they lose again, that might be an instant you're done type thing. Don't you think?
I don't know. I don't know how Jed thinks. It seems like last year he was so giddy just to like be. I mean, he was happy to be in the NFC Championship game last year, but things change. Like maybe Jed's down on Kyle because of what happened a couple of nights ago, and maybe he feels like Kyle isn't the best representative of the organization. And if that's how you feel, then all of a sudden you could start looking at his accomplishments with a glass half full, empty perspective. Like, like that's the way I look at it. Like, he couldn't seal the deal again, huh? Couldn't seal the deal again, huh? And he's not necessarily making and we need to have John Lynch around to make us look good because Kyle's a little tone deaf at best. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, after 8 years, 9 years, 10 years, at what point do the owners see like, all right, man, like it's the same story every year. And it's good. You're a good coach, dude. You're a very good coach, man. But you're just not gonna close the deal. It's been a long time.
Particularly to me, Chiefs, Niners, Super Bowl, and the Niners lose again. Me, that if that's the scenario, I think it's
what if they lose to anyone? What if they lose to the Bengals? What if they lose to the Chargers? I mean, you go to the Super Bowl and you lose again, and you had a lead in the second half. Like,
yeah. I was listening. Man, I don't know. I was listening to your interview with Ira Miller, which was great, by the way. And he was just talking about, I mean, it's simple when we talk about it and we understand it, but it really is the difference between, the greats and the good, which is just finishing. Like, you got to find a way to finish. A really true great coach finds a way to finish, and Kyle has not been able to do that yet.
It's for anything in life. Like, you could have a great dissertation. You're going for a PhD. If you don't finish it, it doesn't freaking count. It's nothing. You got to finish. Otherwise, it's not an accomplishment. You can't go around the rest of your life being like, man, I almost got a PhD. Like, I was so close. You should have seen it. It was great. Like, no, you didn't finish it. You essentially wasted your time. You didn't do anything. Not to trigger people in who went, I didn't go to graduate school. I'm just saying, like, any accomplishment is only accomplishment once you finish the deal.
Yeah. You got to.
You didn't accomplish anything. You had an experience. You learned things, but you didn't finish, so it wasn't an accomplishment. His resume is still bare, which is crazy to me because of the way people talk about him.
Yeah, man, it was good. Good. If you guys have not watched that Ira Miller interview, when was that? Friday? Make sure you guys.
It was Friday.
Yeah.
Ricky's B-Day is 9-9. Would be legendary if he plays.
I don't know. That's so quick.
Dude, leave him. Let's leave him alone. I think that's.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, I don't even know if he was going to play before this because the shoulder was messed up. He was in a blue non-contact jersey in practice last week. So adjust your expectations. Give him some time.